Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Sunday night here at Poe on the Go. And thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate you spending your time with me. Got a lot to go over tonight, but before we get it started, you know how this always begins. Let's bring in our good old pal, Clearwater Chad.
Thanks
Hey,
for having me,
Chad.
Poe. How you doing?
Thank you, sir. Hey, Mojo, what's up, brother? So let's get that weather report, man.
All right, Poe. Both Chads agree that it's 80 degrees. Perceived is 20%. The wind is at 10 and it's 75% humid. Back to you, Poe.
Awesome. Roscoe's on lockdown. He's been out there chasing them birds too much.
Oh, I was wondering
So
where he was.
yeah, my goodness, he's been, if you watch the shorts, he's been going crazy. So good to see we've got good friends in here tonight. Broken Dishes, Denver Stevo, Sally, thank you for joining us. Victoria Morris, thank you for joining us. Yeah, I know. You got Aaron was on live. There's a lot going on tonight, and we got a lot to talk about. Before we get too far into it, though, I don't know about your personal views. I don't know about your beliefs or anything like that. But everybody, if you could send out some love and best wishes to Mike Render, as someone who has dealt with cancer myself, I know how this is. It is just when my doctor first diagnosed me, we couldn't in to see an oncologist for 3 months. And that's the beauty of the healthcare system we've got. And, 3 months of wondering what's going on, how things are and all that. Finally got to get and see the oncologist, beautiful lady. She's just wonderful. She is literally someone that I am so happy to have, as part of my life, and the person who's watching over me with it. And doing good. Everything's online. Every treatment's worked out very well. So very happy. So I know what Mike's going through with this, and I know the lead up to it. So it's not a fun thing, believe me. But let's just send out our prayers, best wishes. If you don't have any particular belief system or spiritual beliefs, just send some love out to him. Let him know, because I know full well how it feels, and you feel very alone. My wife was there, my best friend, and even with her support, you still feel all alone. And then there's the terror of, what's going to happen to my family, who's going to be watching over them, who's going to take care of them. There's a lot that goes through your head in a situation like this. So please show that love and care for Mike. So thank you, everybody. All right, so we've got a lot to talk about. We all know what the topic is tonight. It is the other DM, not the Keebler King. Tonight we are talking about Mr. Masterson and his guilty verdict. Not just that, we're also going to talk about some things that were revealed through the testimony of the victims in the trial. Okay, first off, let me preface this with the fact that I didn't cover the trial specifically because I was not there in first person to see what was going on with the trial. We're going by the statements and testimony that has been presented to us from folks like Aaron Smith-Levin and Tony Ortega. But there's been some really damning stuff that's come out of all of it. I'm not going to use the R word. We're just going to call it SA. That way we don't get ourselves in a bunch of trouble with YouTube and everything like that. And I'm not going to name any of the victims in the trial. I'm going to leave them as Jane Doe 1, 2, and 3, and that's purely out of respect. And there's a lot that came out in this trial, a lot of things that I was really happy to see that happened. Judge Almeida came in and she wasn't playing around. She literally laid the law down as the judge. She controlled her court like is supposed to be from a judge. She wasn't putting up with any shenanigans, starting off with the jury selection. She really knocked it out of the park. She says, look, we're not playing around. We're not going to turn this into a 6-year trial. We're going to get this turned around as quickly as possible. And we're not putting up with any shenanigans from anyone. And she's done really well did really well at handling this trial. And I was really happy to see her, the way that she took control of it. And that's what I like to see in a judge. And that's from 32 years in law enforcement, which quite actually, I thought I was done, but my days in law enforcement may be getting back. I've had several job offers lately, and so I may be going back into law enforcement. Some of it's, the money's just too good to pass up, so we got to figure out what we're going to do with it. Wife and I have a lot of talking to do about it, see where we want to go with it. But I'll continue on like I've always done. I'm going to carry my ethics, my honor, and my respect into it, and I'm not going to waver on any of it. And that's a big thing. And going into that, we need to talk about, I'm waiting to get the transcripts from the interview with Detective Reyes and the Jane Does on this case. But from what I'm hearing, it was not very well handled on the part of Detective Reyes. I'm waiting for a confirmation through the transcripts of the interviews to see what actually transpired in that. But it's interesting things that I'm hearing so far. I can tell you from a police officer perspective, as a detective sergeant, as a police officer period, I can't tell you how many essays I personally had to handle. There's literally hundreds of them in my career. And the very first thing that always came to mind with me was when a person comes in and wants to report something like this, you don't look at them as the suspect or the person of interest. The thing is that you treat them with the utmost respect. You be a listening person. You can't take sides on it. You have to be neutral, but you still can show compassion and empathy and try to understand what's going on, which was a great thing when they brought in Dr., and I want to make sure I get her name right, Barbara Zib, when she was brought in as the expert on testimony. There are a lot of people who have a lot of things to say about how the Jane Does acted prior to the trials, the civil case that's coming out, things like that. There's been a lot of speculation. Is this really someone who's a victim of a SA, how they react? And I can tell you from all of the victims that I've dealt with, their responses have always been that none of them are the same. And when you look at the fact that anywhere from 15 to 20% of victims of SA actually report that they were the victim of an SA, you start getting to understand there's a whole lot of stigma that is put into it. There's the victims oftentimes are treated very badly depending on who the suspect or the culprit was that committed the SA on the victim. And none of them ever act the same. They always have different ways that they're handling it. And we have to remember this is a horribly traumatic experience that they're going through. And no, they're not going to act the same way. They're all going to have their own different viewpoints on it. Just understand there are those of us who do support you, do understand, do believe you, and want you to get the best treatment and the best help that you can to get through this. It's not an easy topic to even deal with. It's even harder when children are the victims of it, and I've had to deal with a lot of those. Probably the worst part for me, besides having to sit there and listen to what's happened to the victims, is oftentimes when you have to sit across the table from the people who did it and how they act and how they try to make themselves the victims. And believe me, it takes every bit of self-control you've got. Let's see, Mandy Gonzalez Poe, how do you go about getting the transcripts of the court case? Well, transcripts from court cases are public record. Once the court case is finalized, then the transcript should be available. The transcripts from the interview with Detective Reyes are something that's a little bit different. There's some folks who are working behind the scenes getting the approval to get the transcript of that interview. It's my understanding it's not very nice. So, and folks, if you have any questions, just make sure, just like Mandy and Deviant Outcast have done, make sure you put the @ symbol and then just put Poe, and that way I'll see it. Let's see here from Deviant Outcast. Not being an American, I feel you're the most American law enforcement officer and exactly what, frankly, all police forces everywhere need more of. Thank you very much for that.
I
The
agree.
thing is that 99% of law enforcement police officers are like me. They care. The majority of people who get into law enforcement don't get into it for the money because believe me, you're not going to get rich being a cop. If you do get rich being a cop, something's going on. We get into it because we want to help. I know a lot of people who grew up in very poor, underprivileged communities, and they are, they're wanting to improve the city that they come from, their community. They're doing it for everyone that they love and they respect. They want to have a place where the elderly can walk down the street at night and not have to worry about whether or not they're safe. There are those jackasses who do stupid things. And believe me, there is no perfect way. You're not going to be able to measure them out. And the problem is that there's always going to be those who slip through the cracks. And those are the ones who are making the most, how should I say it? They're getting the most public acknowledgement. And they don't represent all of law enforcement in the United States. Let's see. Rue, thank you for that super chat. Thanks to you both for all that you do. Chad, my Chihuahua, wants one of your mini-me's. There you go.
She's got you got to contact Marilyn. Makes these. Well,
Yep,
I don't know if she makes these yet. This was something she made special, but maybe if she gets this not special request, she might.
Yeah, talk to our buddy Marilyn Honig. Is Marilyn in here tonight? Let's see here.
Don't remember.
I don't know. Oh, we had Alex has slipped in unknown to us. Apostate Alex is in here tonight. Thank you for joining us, Alex. Yeah, let's get together this week and talk, Alex. So, and for some reason you sent me an email about that concern that you had, and it went into my spam. I just got that today. Let's see here. Deviant Outcast. It's a gift and a strength of character not to become jaded. You're not jaded. Unfortunately, there were times I did become jaded. You have to remember when you're dealing with people literally lying to you every single day, it gets to a point where it starts burning you. A lot of people don't talk about it. A lot of people just want to expect police officers to be robotic, do their job, not have feelings and all that. One of the things that people aren't talking about is the PTSD that law enforcement officers see. If you think about it, I've gone from scenes where it was literally someone complaining their neighbor put their trash can out too early to a scene where someone just got shot in the face. And and then to go from that scene to a neighbor parked their car too close to the driveway of their neighbor. And we have to be able to switch. You almost have to have a switch, turn it on and off. There are some people who can't handle it, and that gets to be a problem. And like I've said many times before, law enforcement, it is a very, 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 it's something you do not want to be involved with psychological or psychiatric help as law enforcement. Thankfully, the tide is turning. People are starting to look at it differently, but it used to be that if you were seeking that kind of help, it pretty much blackballed your career. So I'm glad to see that's coming around. Mandy Gonzalez, I guess I was asking, do you call the courthouse for court records or is it online? Do you normally have to pay for them? Every court's going to be different, but hopefully they'll have something online where you'll be able to go online and get copies of the transcripts from it. Problem is there's always going to be a fee involved. So just be prepared for that, and especially a case this in depth and all that was done. So be prepared. There's probably going to be some kind of fee for it. And I'm looking through all the comments here, see if we got any more questions before we get headed in. Joel, thank you for joining us. Jennifer, thank you for joining us. One with cats. How do you get your font like that? See, I'd like to do something cool like that with my font. Let's see here. Richie Pound. Hey, Richie, what's up, brother? Oh, I love that profile pic there. Nice to see you, Poe. Have you ever come across a crooked cop, and how did you deal with it? Yeah, I mean, you do. That's literally you're going to do it, especially for someone like me. When I first started, you got to remember it was 1990 when I first started, 1991, and there was still a lot of old school guys. And thing was is that yeah, I made I called them out, especially the further I got into it. I would not put up with anything like that. I had no problem giving somebody a few days off without any pay. Dave, what's going on, my friend? Dave from Gotta Love Thailand. If you're interested in Thailand or anything like that, make sure you get over to Dave's channel. It's Gotta Love Thailand, as his name is there. He really great guy, lives in Thailand, has a fantastic family, and puts out some great content on things. And there is the culprit, our person of interest tonight. Marilyn Honig is in here tonight. Let's see. You see it, Marilyn? All right. There you go, Rue, and thank you for that super chat. She'll contact Marilyn for the embroidery chat.
Chads are growing. The Chads are multiplying. Soon there will be millions.
Marilyn, if you hadn't heard it, there are some people wanting to know where they can get their own Clearwater Chads. So you might have some more business coming your way. Let's see. Trying to look through these, make sure we don't have any more questions because I'm already way behind. All right. So let's get into some of the points of this trial that were really interesting. First off, like I said, Judge Almeida was really good, stepped up, and was the kind of judge that I'd love to see in every court. No nonsense. Get this done. Quit playing around. Mueller, I thought that Mueller did an amazing job as a deputy DA. He really, I'm looking at my notes over here, so that's why I keep looking away. He did a really good job, stepped up himself. He did a great job with basically, instead of making it about just 100% evidence, he actually put the evidence into a story form that was much more understandable. I understand because I've been through so many court cases that you start learning legal speak at a certain point. And so I understand a lot of it, but a jury who's never been through a court case before, they're not going to know what's going on there. Chad, Mandy Gonzalez is wondering, what's the total from the fundraiser?
Oh, I believe it was 1,125.
Ooh, so you got 300 more than we originally thought. We're going to have to get together and do another one pretty soon here. Yep. I had fun jumping in. Folks, also, I'm on a drive right now. I'm like 200 away from 3,000. So I'm really pushing to try to get to 3,000. If you can, make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also share, please. Trying to hit that 3,000 mark for subscribers. And, we're just trying to barrel forward. I'll be back Tuesday night with another AP laser engraving tutorial coming out as well. So something that I found really, really, really interesting and disturbing in the testimony was Jane Doe number 3, talking about her ethics handling when she went to report that she had been the victim of an SA. And the statement is that she had pulled it in. And for those of you who don't know, pulled it in Scientology speak is basically you did this to yourself. You're not a victim. You are the one who's at fault in this. So, and what I found even more disgusting was she was told that it's not the R word, that she's not supposed to be using that she was made to actually model what happened with chess pieces and pebbles in front of this auditor. And basically she was the one who was in trouble for reporting it. So what we found out was that the thing that actually was the last straw is that Colonel, I'll get with your question in just a second here. The thing that was the last straw for her was when she found out that Danny wasn't being handled by the church. She was having to go through all these ethics questions. She was having to go through a lot of different auditing and ethics handling that she was having to go through. And Danny basically wasn't being touched. She testified that she had originally went with she had talked to chaplain Chris Goggins, and she'd also spoken with his wife Miranda, and that Goggins actually, per her testimony, sat down with Danny and arranged a settlement for their breakup, in which she got to drive a car for like 6 months and he paid for her rent for 3. I was absolutely floored by that. I mean, here it is. You have someone who's reporting that they're the victim. You not only ignore the fact of what they've done, you refuse to let them use the word for what it is that happened to them. Let's see. And then you make it their problem, and then on top of it, when you're going to end your relationship with this person, they turn around and they make it so that you're getting some kind of penance for what you've done. I mean, goodness gracious, for the relationship that they had to have it turned into a 6-month use of a car and 3 months of rent. That's, oh my goodness, that's incredible to me. Again, someone who's dealt with victims of SA in the past, you need to be aware of the needs. You need to be cognizant. You need to be empathetic. You need to be understanding, and you need to be comforting to that person. Let's see here. Colonel Brock, we had just talked about that. Mike had made the announcement was made on Mike's blog by his wife that Mike is an advanced esophageal cancer treatment. I was talking about that at the onset of the live stream tonight. As someone who's gone through cancer treatment, I know where he's at, and I know that this time, when you find out, I was explaining it. My doctor found something in my blood work and originally diagnosed me with one thing and said I needed to go see an oncologist. And I spent 3 months, my wife and I, just terrified of what's going on. So I know what he's feeling, and it's not a fun time. And asking everyone, show your love and support for Mike. Electric Boogaloo, love that name. Do you get trained on how to question people specifically so it can be used in court as evidence? And Chad, what has been the most surprising thing you found out about Scientology? I'll let you start with that one.
Oh wow, yeah, okay. Well, let's let me think for a second.
Okay, while you're thinking, I'll go ahead. Go ahead. And,
okay.
As for training in I don't know how it is now. I haven't been to the academy in probably 10 years. You get some basic training about how court is. A lot of it is on the job, and it's from your training officer who's going to teach you the things that you need to do. Also, we sat down as new officers, we sat down with the city attorney, we sat down with the judge. They laid a lot of things out for us, what they expect, how they expect things to be handled. As a detective, you get a little bit more advanced training on it. Not as much as I think that they need, but by the time I'd by the time I hit sergeant and became a detective sergeant, I already had over 10 years on the job. I'd been in front of the court many times. I had also helped out and been part of the Criminal Investigations Bureau of our department, and was quite aware of how things had to be. And you got to remember, it changes all the time. We used to get updates from Michigan State Police almost daily on new laws, new ordinances, new things that were coming out, and it was crazy. And you had to constantly keep yourself aware of all that. All right, Chad, you ready?
Yeah, I finally had time to think. Right. I mean, it's all pretty crazy, but I think the whole is the most, which they say they don't have anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, that's for sure. Juliana Bittencourt coming to us from Brazil. Hola. Go on the go. She hasn't made the model. She hasn't made the model of the assault, though. According to Aaron, she was made to model the policy of what happened to her. That's basically what I was talking about. Was she not only had to go through telling this to telling them what happened, but she had to play it out, basically model it, as what they call it. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about using Play-Doh and all that, but she talks specifically about having to use chess pieces and pebbles to do it. That's a great way to treat the victim of a SA for sure. Laura plays, law enforcement officers are trained to ask open-ended questions as opposed to yes and no questions. It's all dependent on the case, Laura. And one of the things is, when it comes to SA, is you have to be very careful what you do. And now if it's a case that involves a child, then in Michigan, we don't speak to the child directly. We will make contact with the parent, guardian, whoever's in charge of the child. We'll set up what's called a forensic interview with someone who's trained to deal with children. Mostly what we do is we'll either witness it in person from another room watching on video, or the interviewer will talk to the child, turn around and send us either a direct link so we can watch it live, or they will send us a flash drive with the interview plus their write-up on what happened. And when it comes to something like that, normally we're not asking open-ended questions. We're asking questions for detailed explanations, detailed redirect of what actually happened with you. And it's I try to keep, like I said, I try to keep it more empathetic. I try to be understanding. I want this person to realize that there's someone there that supports them and is there to try to get them justice for it. So it's a very different kind of thing. And Hada, welcome, hon. 60 degrees and sunny in Government Camp, Oregon. I can tell you what, it's been up in the 80s and 90s here in Michigan. I feel like I'm almost back in Thailand with the humidity. So
yeah, I hear that. It's a little too hot in Clearwater too.
Yeah, it's oof. One of the things that also came out in this case was the fact that Jane Doe number 3 went on redirect with Sean Hawley, and email was brought up. And during the email, Jane Doe number 3 said, "That's not what I wrote." And the accusation is that she had been hacked, and that email was from someone else, and it was made to look like it was her. And there were certain things that were said in that, like the initial welcome in the email, which was either hello or hey Dan. And her statement was, "I would never call him Dan. I always called him Danny." And so there was a lot of, that it clearly looks like there had been some kind of hack or some kind of rework of that actual email. Tanya Baker, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And then went on to discuss the harassment, as she put it, and what had happened to her and what has been ongoing since she initially reported it, and how much that affected her. And in fact, there was a statement that it looked like she was literally ready to break down into tears as she was describing it. So you could tell there's been a lot of trauma that came with this that's been placed on these folks, and by their statements, it's not good. The one good thing that came out about the email hack was this actually opened the door for them to talk further about the reported harassment of them from what they believe is the Church of Scientology. And normally these things aren't delved into in court cases because of religious freedoms under the Constitution. But this one clearly, when the defense opened the door, all the cattle came running out. So you got to think about that a little bit. That was another part that came up that was just immense. As we talked about, Dr. Zib, when she came out, she didn't speak directly on the victims themselves. She talked about, as an expert in SA, how the victims will act. And the thing is that each victim, as I said before, will act differently. This is going to hit them in a different way. There are, and I'm not trying to compare them on the level of importance, but it's something that's easier for a lot of people to understand. someone in your family that's very close to you passes away, and some people immediately break down and they're having just a horrible time with it. Other folks, they're sad, they're going through the different stages of grief. And then you have those who you don't see any real emotion out of. And the thing is, again, I am not comparing them on the level of importance. I'm just giving you examples that folks who, would be easier to understand, because not everybody deals with someone who's gone through this situation, but everybody has dealt with the loss of a loved one and have seen all these different things play out. So let's, that's the things we have to look into. And Dr. Zib really explained that quite well. She's a very good professional, very well respected within the community. Let's see here. Then we got on to Jane Doe number 1, and it was really played on the fact that she had hid the SA from friends and family, covered up bruises, things like that. And as they delved into it, one of the things that was found out was that basically at one point she had backed away. She was getting ready to blow, as they call it, and someone went to her father. It was we'll talk about the other parts first. I'm going through all my notes here. She was really worried about people finding out or about reporting it to anyone else because of the COS policies, and especially since the suspect in the case, or now the convicted rapist, is a celebrity, and how important they're treated with everything that goes on. And when she met with, and the name that was reported was Julian Schwartz, she was also advised, do not use the R word in describing it. And that she literally had to sit down and rewrite her statement numerous times until it was approved by Julia. And, you think about this, and, you're not allowed to leave. You have to keep rewriting the statement till they're happy with it, and then you try to use that as proof. That's tainted all the way from go. And that's crazy. Wow. There's a lot of different people in here tonight. We got, Sandy Bowers, Destone Salazar, Debbie Green. Hey, Marshawn. Hey, Willie, what's up?
Great to see everyone.
Diana B. Lupe, hey, what's going on? Moni. Let's see, Moni. Hi, Po. How will this affect the civil case? Will more women come forward to their claims? Thank you. Thank you. The civil case, normally when you have something like a civil case and a criminal prosecution at the same time, the thing about it is all the testimony that was put into either case is then admissible in the other case, because it becomes public record once it's in a court, unless a judge seals that case. Then it would take a higher judge to break that seal and actually put it out there. And the thing is that, with this, it's going to put a lot more evidence into the civil case, but I'm former law enforcement. I really don't have a lot of background in the civil world, but I would think it would give them a lot more firepower and a lot more evidence that they can introduce. Moni 69, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you. Let's see here. Let me look at a couple more of these. Okay. TBI firefighter. I was a law enforcement officer, chaplain, domestic abuse prevention deputy. Back in my day, to be a law enforcement officer, you had to have a 2-year AA criminal justice. I take it that's going to be an associate criminal justice degree there in Oregon. Now it's like a 90-day course. In Michigan, a lot of departments are no longer hiring folks that are hiring them, putting them through the police academy. Big cities like Flint, Detroit will do it, but for the most part, they're requiring that you go through college, and the colleges will. There are certain colleges in the state of Michigan that are certified to have their own police academies and actually certify law enforcement officers. so most of the guys and gals that are coming in nowadays are college educated going into it. I don't have any college education, so I can't really speak to it. But that's one of the things I like, is that there's more education going into it. My understanding is that the academy is now longer than it used to be. But you got to remember, the academy was basically to get you set to be a police officer. It didn't train you everything. That's, where law enforcement is more of a skilled trade than you would think it is, because a lot of what you learn about doing the job, you learn it on the streets, being behind the badge and the uniform on the roads. Macrograms. Oh, that's a neat profile pic. Maybe COS will survive, but I hope this insight into the cover up enabling Danny will kick the Scientology recruiting effort right in the cojones. They're already, from what we understand, is that they are already severely hurting on their recruitment. And something like this just helps to bolster people's dislike of it. Of course, Leah, Mike, Aaron, Mark, Claire. Then you've got Mark Foster, and you've got Janice, and they're doing such brilliant jobs exposing the lies. You've got apostate Alex, who is, he's given me some great information and things like that. One of them, I'm going to talk about it in a little bit here. All these folks exposing the truth about what's really going on in that organization. It's great. So their recruitment is down quite a bit. But the thing is they still own probably billions of dollars of property. They still have, the tax exemption. It's not in every country. It's the United States. There's a couple other countries that I know of that they have it. But the thing is that they still have the big whales that are out there that are dumping millions and hundreds of millions of dollars into it. So that's, that's the thing, is until that money's gone. And I personally see until till pretty much the last person breathing who is a Scientologist is gone, they're just going to keep pushing away at it. I'm sorry, but that I honestly believe that even if they lose their tax exempt status. GK, well, thank you for joining us. If they appeal, what grounds will they use? That's more for an attorney on that, but quite honestly, I'm gonna believe that they're going to throw everything they can. Like Joe Rogan says, throw the kitchen sink in. And that's what attorneys do. As for the attorneys, Cohen, that's their job, and that's what they do. As an attorney, your job is to fight 100% for your client and do the best that you can. If you don't, that's grounds by itself for getting the case overturned, is you didn't have proper representation by an attorney. So they're going to do everything they can. They're going to get out there and they're going to appeal it. And that's, I have tons of friends that are attorneys that I've had to actually go against in court. And I don't take it personal. It's just how it is. It's their job to get out there and try to get their client off the charges that they're on. It's my job to present the evidence the best way I can and hopefully come up with a conviction. One thing I would strongly put out there: our job as police officers isn't to be judge, jury, and executioner. We are presented with evidence, or we investigate a crime, and we collect that evidence that we turn over to the district attorney, or prosecuting attorney, and they will make the decision how they're going to go forward with it. The way it honestly worked for us, and the way it works for most of the cities here in Michigan, is that you'll get your case. The officer will do the initial brief investigation on scene of what's going on. They'll do up the report. They're going to turn it into their detectives. The detectives then receive that case, and they're going to start investigating the case even further. Once you feel that you have the evidence that you need, you're going to type it all up in a warrant request, and you're going to present that to the prosecutor. The prosecutor will then approve or deny the warrant request. If they approve it, then you have to go in front of a judge. You're going to have to swear it all out in front of the judge. You abbreviate it as much as you can because the judge has already read it. So you're going to give them the Cliff Notes version of it, and then the judge will turn around and say yes or no. If they say yes, and literally when you go in front of a judge to present this affidavit or warrant request. You're literally going to raise your right hand and you're going to swear in just like you're in court, because what you're saying is going to go down as public record. And you will then, if the judge approves it, then the judge will sign it and you'll get your documents and you go forward with an arrest or try to make an arrest. And then it will go to court and all the evidence comes out at that point. Something that a lot of people may not understand is that in a criminal case, the prosecution is required upon request, and most of the time they don't even wait for the request, they put it all together. It's called discovery, and pretty much all of the evidence that they have to turn over that information to the defense team. The defense team will then gets to go over all of the evidence that's presented, and that's pretty much how it goes. The next thing you know, you're in court. It's going to start off with opening statements from both parties. That's after, if they have a jury trial. If they don't have a jury trial, it goes straight into it. If they do have a jury trial, then there's the time picking the jurors. They're going to voir dire the jurors. They're going to voir dire any witnesses, things like that. And it'll go into it. They're going to have their opening statements, and they're going to call their witnesses. Prosecution leads. Then the defense will bring their witnesses. Both have a chance to redirect or to cross-examine the witnesses. And once it's done, they're going to give their closing statements. The prosecution will give theirs, the defense will give theirs, and the prosecution has a right to a rebuttal. And then it goes to either a jury or a judge who's going to make the final decision on it. So it's a long process, and I'm literally just cutting it down as much as I can, but that's how it works. Marjan, is it true now that he has been convicted for rape? Our word, he cannot take the fifth in court? That I don't. That's a really good question, Marjan. That's something that an attorney would be able to let you know. I personally would not know. That is crazy.
Maybe we'll have Simon on to tell us.
Oh yeah, Simon. Let your boogaloo. Never registered that. I didn't know what Leo stood for. Yeah, law enforcement officer, Leo.
I didn't know that either.
We didn't use that for a long time. We just called each other cops. So, and it's one of those things where if the citizens were, oh, here come the cops, it was almost insulting to us. But as, we called each other that, but I never pick it personally. Call me cop. And, just a quick side reference, the name cop actually comes from the early uniforms of law enforcement officers. A cigar a bit much there? Are you there?
A little bit. Sorry, Paul. Try not to be too
my allergies are through the roof.
We'll blame it on little Chad.
And as usual, got my Japanese coffee here. I'm so addicted to that stuff. It's crazy. What was I saying? Let's see. You killed me with that one. Let's see here. Let's see. TBI firefighter. My associate's program included 6 months OTJ on the job training, but I am from a firefighter at law enforcement family. So for me, it came natural. Yeah. The thing was with me, third generation. Grandfather was a sheriff in Kentucky. My father was a police officer. And then, for me, a third generation United States Army. So, coming out of the Army and then going into the academy was not, believe me, it was not that hard. The big thing about the academy is that they basically made us rewrite everything in the book 3 and 4 times so it would stick in our heads. So I agree, it wasn't that big. Marilyn Honeg, thank you for that super chat, Marilyn. Hello, gentlemen, you guys are the best. Chad is, I know that. Imparting all your knowledge and wisdom to us. Hi, Chad. And Chad, no Kool-Aid tonight?
Chads are multiplying. We got the Kool-Aid. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about nothing. Chad's
I could use that lemonade, man.
I know.
Well, my sinuses, that vitamin C.
Yeah.
A lot easier. There you go. Got that Kool-Aid up there. Okay, Vincent giggles. Hey, Vince, been a while, brother. Thank you. Ryder Gal, thank you for joining us. I've been away. How much did Chad and gang raise? You want to tell them how much you made in your telethon again?
Oh, 11:25 group effort. Thanks everyone. The next one is June 26th at 9, starts at 9 p.m.
There you go. He's gonna get his Monster Energy drinks ready for that one.
That's right.
Let's see, Writer Gal. Why isn't it showing it? There we go. Now, if only we could the other DM in the same prison. Well, I don't know what actually, I understand there's a grand jury investigation coming up, so that may shed some light on some things that are going on. I'm not going to hurt my feelings. Richie Pound, no offense, Chad, but you can leave Mary's doll there and go for a nap. We might not notice.
Don't tempt me.
All right. Destone Salazar, welcome. Hola. Do you think there are class action lawsuits coming against Scientology in the near future, and how can local police help with building those cases? Well, one thing is that police are criminal and lawsuits are civil. We typically stay out of the civil realm. Give you an idea. It was when they used to be called restraining orders and peace bonds, and then they became called personal protection orders, PPOs in Michigan. And they say on them that they can be served by any law enforcement officer. Most departments, including my department, and when I was a chief, I didn't allow it either unless that person was in custody, in our actual custody. We didn't serve those. Those are civil orders. They're civil actions that can result in actual prosecution for the fact of being in contempt of court by violating a civil court order. But the fact is that we normally didn't do that. That was the sheriff's department that handled those. So we really don't, of course, the officers, the evidence, all the information can be subpoenaed, and that can all be put into play. Let's see here. Marilyn, OMG, is little Chad smoking a cigar?
That's true. He is. He needs the smokes too.
You're a mojo, so no reunion for that 70s show. I understand they've got a new one out called that 90s show. So I don't know what's going on with it. Let's see. Monica Unknown, thank you for joining us. Warabi, thank you. Let's see. Love it. I love it. Thank you for joining us. Let's see here, going through all these right now. Okay. Purple Groovy 69. All right. I'm digging that. They can't be untouchable, can they? And I saw your previous question about what is the IRS afraid of? Well, at the point right now, the way that the laws are constructed as it goes to the tax exemption for religious organizations, the problem is it is very, very, very hard to get that revoked. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I have a congressperson that member of the United States Congress I am talking to about getting on the show. The problem is that trying to, with everything that's going on, I just can't have them drop what they're doing and come in and, do an interview on my channel. So we're waiting until they've got that opening so we can get them in here and actually talk to them about what's going on with that and why it's so hard to get it removed. That's the big thing. Let's see here. So it's not a matter of the IRS being afraid of them. It's a matter of, oh, okay, love it. Thank you. It's not a matter of the IRS being afraid of them. Now, I would say there was a lot of coercion when the second tax exemption was put into place. When you have full page ads coming out and they are, accusing these people from the IRS of just horrible things. So I would say that coercion was in there. Okay. Cops, the word cops. The original uniforms that law enforcement officers used to wear, and remember back in the early days, they wore very similar uniforms to the British bobbies and what they wore. They wore these big, heavy wool, blue or black jackets, but they didn't spend a lot of money on their uniforms. So they made their buttons for their uniforms out of copper. And that's where the term coppers came from. And of course, the abbreviation for coppers is cop. And that's how that came about to where we actually call police officers cops nowadays. So there's been, there's been a lot of speculation. They used to think it came from the point of citizens on patrol being an acronym. Let's see here. And, okay. I'm just looking at these, there's been a lot of different acronyms. There's been a lot of different speculation on it, but that's where the acknowledged origin of the name comes from, is from the copper buttons they used to wear. Marjan, how is Japanese coffee better? The thing is, Vince, I didn't know that. I just see Vince. I think in Vince, Vince. I am so sorry. I did not mean that. Now I know. But with the Japanese coffee, it's like I'm a huge fan of the Tim Hortons coffee that here. It just has a different flavor, and I like it a lot better. So,
Japanese know their stuff, Poe.
Well, let's see here. Thank you, John. I'm going to try it. Zostowski, let me know if I said it right or not. Thank you very much for that super sticker. Let's get on down here. Super Kenny. GK, thank you for joining us. I've already said hello to you. What is going to happen regarding the leak of the documents? That's a good one. That's something I was going to bring up a little bit later. But the thing is that these documents, from what I understand from the testimony, is that these documents were shared in places that they shouldn't have been shared. And that is a huge no-no. There's a lot of information in there that, oh my gosh, the judge is very, very unhappy. They're actually going to have a hearing for it. So that's just, go ahead.
I just interject. It's pretty bad, Poe, when the lawyers need lawyers. They got their own lawyers. The lawyers have their own attorneys.
Yeah.
They done messed up.
Let's see. I didn't see it. Where is it? Up here from J Dice. Okay. Let's see. He can't take the fifth one. Okay. It's true that he can't, from J Dice to Marjan. It's true that he can't take the fifth when an arrest and conviction is not possible because of guilty or not guilty. The hung count, he can plead the fifth. One of the things about it is when someone is found not guilty of a charge, you can't retry them for it. That's called double jeopardy. So that's something you have to, think about on that. Civil trials are completely different from criminal trials. And I don't know the standing on whether or not he can use the fifth during a civil trial. Question from Darlene, and welcome. I might have missed it, but what prison do you think he'll go to? I have no idea. I live in Michigan. I've literally been to California just a couple of times, so I don't know a whole lot about the penal system out there and where he would be going. I would say he's going to be going to a pretty unnice one. Electric Boogaloo from Australia, welcome. Don't know what a grand jury is. Can they lay charges or convict people? What a grand jury is, believe me, I've been through enough of them. Basically, the prosecutor pulls you in front of a jury of people. They will lay out their case. They're allowed to ask questions. There is no redirect. Basically it's the prosecutor presenting their information, calling you in for questioning, and then the jury will decide whether or not there's enough to prosecute or indict. So that's what a grand jury is. Grand jury is sometimes you feel you have the evidence that you need. You have all that you need for a conviction, but you are a little iffy about whether or not a jury would believe it. So you pull together a grand jury, present it to them. If they believe that there's enough probable or reasonable cause, then they will approve it, and then it goes forward with prosecution from that point. All right, now I know it now. Quit beating me with it. I didn't know, honestly. Marjan, are you surprised that DM didn't exit his life? I'm surprised that he didn't. Um, if what the claims are is of extreme narcissism, I wouldn't see him doing that. They're too important. Honestly, I believe that I believe that he believes that there's a chance he'll be able to get it overturned in appeal. Most people do. Matt Elliott. Oh, hey, Boondock Saints. I love that. Do you think Danny will ever be tried up here in Ontario, Canada? Is that Ontario, I believe? Or will they just charge, if so, and leave it open? That's all going to be up to the Canadian prosecutors, the Canadian law enforcement, as to whether or not they feel it is. But I mean, honestly, he's looking at 30 years to life on this. And I just don't know how much more they can add to it by prosecuting. Quite honestly, a quick side story. There had been a gentleman walked into we call them party stores here in Michigan. They're convenience stores, basically mom and pop owned convenience stores, and walked in, robbed the place. Once they'd gotten all the money, he executed the clerk that was there. The chase was pretty heavy, and the worry is that they couldn't keep up with him because he was in a very powerful car. Just so happened that night I was in our department's Mustang, which is normally our traffic car, but we'd had some vehicles have been damaged, so I was using it as a patrol car. This was a hopped up Mustang. It had some cojones to it. So they were asked if anyone had a pursuit vehicle that could help to intercept until the state police could get into it. I got up to the highway, which was about a mile from our city limits, took the chase, and we were at about 130 miles an hour down I-75 southbound at about 3:00 in the morning. There was no traffic. The whole time I was giving out, my location, what was going on. I was told by my command officer that I am to keep in pursuit. This subject had just murdered someone. We got down to the Ohio border. The Ohio State Highway Patrol had actually come about 3 miles into Michigan, turned around and got up to speed so that they were at speed with us once we got into the state of Ohio. They got him into Ohio, took him through the Toledo area, which is a very congested kind of area. You don't want to do much there. We got him out into an open area just south of Toledo, and that's where they did a pit maneuver, putting him off the side of the road into the gully, and they arrested him. He was tried and convicted in Ohio of crossing state line in attempt to flee law enforcement. And I believe he got 50 years for that in Ohio, and was then brought to Michigan, where he was tried and then convicted of first-degree murder and was given a life sentence. So he'll never go back to Ohio. And quite honestly, I don't know. I think Ohio just went through the motions because they had to for the trying to get him extradited to Michigan. But, sometimes you have those overlapping kind of convictions, and there's not a whole lot that can be done. I mean, this guy will never see the light of day. From a poet, heard it was because the copper helmets they wore. Learned something new every day. Here's something that's really interesting. The original badges that they wore were nickel-plated copper. And as a matter of fact, today, most of the badges that police wear are bronze. They're stamped bronze, and then they're either silver plated or they are gold plated. Maggot, hey, welcome. Are you a Slipknot fan? I was today years old when I found out the origin of the word cops. That's crazy. And
you learn a lot from the Pope.
I don't know about that. Let's see. Crystal, welcome. I'm a few minutes behind, but still listening while finishing yard work. Yeah, I did a bunch of that today. Boy, it whooped me. From Central Washington, welcome. Marilyn Honig. Oh, that's the word where the word cop came from. Yep, you're welcome. Thank you. Let's see. All right, trying to get through the rest of these here. And remember, if you got a question for me, folks, remember to put the @ symbol and then Poe right behind it. And that's that way I see that it's for me. Vincent giggles, ma'am. Double Jeopardy, excellent. I don't think I've ever seen that movie. Explains the concept very well. Let's see, Richie Pound. I grew up down the road from Tim Hortons and Eddie Shack. So, okay. Yeah, I tell you what, I love Tim Hortons coffee. There's a place over in Canada, I believe it's called Tony's Only Famous Fish and Chips. Oh my gosh, they have the best fish and chips around here. Um, let's see, Annie Kurtz. And welcome, Annie. There are lots of what to expect in your first time in prison. Very interesting videos. Believe me, having taken people to prison we bring them out as witnesses, bring them back, and then have to take them back to prison. And the way that they responded to us, oh my gosh, the shell shock he's going to be going through when he first gets to that penitentiary is going to be incredible. Let's see here. Darlene, welcome. What do you think are the chances of him winning an appeal, especially with Scientology butting in? Well, it's up in the air how the Church of Scientology is going to react and what kind of support they're going to give to Danny. The thing is that, they may boot him out. They may keep him in. But the thing is that he, appeals it's just like anything else. One big thing, as a former professional MMA fighter, one of the biggest rules is you never let it go to the judges, because you can think you're winning that fight. You could have done everything perfectly, the best that you could, and end up the judges saying, I really didn't like your performance, and give it to the other person. The thing is that that's the same thing with appeals, with juries. You never know what's going to happen with them. So, yeah, I mean, we can speculate all we want, but we don't know how it's going to end up on appeal.
Poe, I waited till you were done. Apostate Alex has a comment if you want to check it out.
Where's it at?
It's about the one. I'll let you read it though.
I'm trying to find it.
Goldie. It said it doesn't show in StreamYard, but Goldie gifted a membership to somebody.
Let's see. I'm trying to find it here.
I think it was pretty far down on my screen at the bottom.
Oh, here we go. Let's see.
I didn't want you to miss it.
It doesn't show on StreamYard, but Poe on the Go, FYI, at Goldie just gifted membership to someone. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Goldie. Nice. That was awesome. Thank you. Now let me get back up here.
Okay.
Goldie's the boss mama. We already know that. And Moni69, thank you for that super sticker on there. Let me see where I was here. Yeah, I'm so far behind. That's how it always goes.
Yep.
Let's see. Trying to just make sure I'm catching up here. Let's see, Maryland. Poe on the Go. What will visitation look like for Danny? How often, and what are the security measures? Well, the thing is it's different in every state how they allow visitation. Of course, his attorney will be able to see him wherever he wants. The family should be able to see him. Of course, his wife should be able to get in and see him whenever she wants. I don't know about conjugals or anything like that. Security measures, you get patted down. They use the wand to make sure that you don't have any metallic objects. Have to put everything into a tray that's held till you come back out, except for like the attorney who's going to come in. They're going to have their pens. They're going to have their paperwork and all that. And it's all dependent. In some cases, you're not allowed to actually physically be in the same room. There's a divider. Other places allow you to sit at a table with them, and some jails actually allow for conjugal visits. So it literally all is up to the state and to the system that they're in. Let's get on down here some more. Hey, I'm respectful. Come on now. Love you too, Vince. Let's see. Let's get down here. Let's see. All right, Moni from Western Australia. Do multiple people get sent letters to go on jury duty, gradually pick or decide that they wouldn't be good for jury duty? That's an excellent question. So basically what happens is that it works on different levels. You have your city trials, which are not going to be felonies. They're going to be misdemeanors, or they're going to be ordinance violations, those kinds of things. And jurors are drawn from a pool of eligible people from within the city. With the county, it works basically the same way, but you're actually going to be going to either a felony trial, or you're going to be going to a civil case. They go from the people who live in the county who are eligible to serve on a jury. And then, of course, federally, that's nationwide, anybody who is available, but they generally go by district where the court is at, what is considered the district for that. As it goes, to give you an idea, I was summoned, and it's called a jury summons. I was summoned 7 years in a row. Now, the way it's supposed to work is if you go and you serve on a jury, you're supposed to be clear and not be selected again. And they generally don't select you. They put it into a lottery format or a bingo style, where they basically have a random generator that pulls up the names. The crazy thing is that my wife just got called in for jury duty a couple of weeks ago, which is like the 5th time she's been called in for jury duty. Like I said, I got 7 years in a row. So it's all a random thing that comes up, as long as you are eligible and you live within the jurisdiction of the court itself. All right, let's see here. Marjan, I heard that it's going to be hard for him to win the appeal. The thing is that you never know. Like I said, it's literally a roll of the dice. You don't know. There may be something that comes up that blows the whole thing out of the water, and next thing you know, he's out on appeal. There could be new evidence that gets presented then that even further. That's more of an attorney who could tell you that. But it's kind of crazy. Veronica Bombria, welcome. If we love Bomb, Danny with letters, he can receive them now, correct? Wouldn't it be awesome if he blew? I think that he should be able to. I would give it time until he actually gets sentenced, and then we know where he's going. And the thing is that once he's there, then you should be able to start sending the letters. Jill Anderson, welcome. The case wasn't about Scientology. It was about Danny Masterson and 3 Jane Does. And yeah, I like how you put maybe more, because now we're understanding that's possibly 6 that I've heard of. But the thing is that Church Scientology was brought into it, and there were actions. What's a good one? Vicky Pondereski. And there was a big to do about the fact of the actions of her as one of the Jane Does. I believe it was Jane Doe 1, and where she literally threw her head back and went and slung her hair around. That's the report that I got of what she did, and that was actually called out in court about that. So you had other people who were acknowledged members of the Church of Scientology that were there. You had, the defense attorneys. Of course, you're going to have the defense attorneys representing Scientology in the civil suit. But the thing is that, you can't interrupt the court. You can't harass the witnesses. These things there, that's all leads into contempt of court and possibly criminal charges. Love Sherlock, welcome. They want to keep him for many reasons. The rest of the Mastersons and the bad publicity Danny could do, a book, etc., against COS, especially because he's a celebrity. But the thing is at what time do you, at what point do you wash your hands of it? And that's been the big question is are they going to allow him to, they're going to allow him to continue to be an acknowledged member? So that's something that has to go on about it. Let's see. Annie Kurtz. Let's see. I'm trying to get it to show up. I'll have to pick it up. Let's see. We'll get that. There we go. Do you think Danny will be bigger target when they see his papers and his celebrity status? How long will it take for others to discover his identity? I think it's going to be impossible to hide his identity, to be honest with you. Just simply and thank you for that super chat, Annie. The fact is that whether or not, anybody who's been alive, that 70s show was everywhere. It's worldwide. I know people in Thailand, Japan, people in South America that have watched that 70s show. So they all know who he is. And when he gets in there, people are going to know who he is. The question is, will he be put into a secure unit that will keep him away from the rest of the general population, or will he be shoved right into general pop? That's all going to be interesting on how they handle it. TBI firefighter, it might be the algorithm and my TBI. I don't know what's going on with that TBI. Let's see, get on down here. No, I have no idea, Goldie. I didn't know that that it happened, but yeah, it didn't show up on here. You got to remember, StreamYard is different than on YouTube. They don't, there's a lot of things I can't do the @ symbol and then someone's name to highlight them. Money 69. How are people picked for jury duty in the U.S.? I'm from Western Australia. Like I was saying, that's all through a pool of potential jurors who are available and can be jurors. Matt Elliott, I've never received a jury summons, but was supposed to be a witness in an accident I saw, but they settled it the day before trial after traveling 3.5 hours back to the city. Just took my 3-day vacay. Yeah, and that's the thing. With jury duty, you have to show up. If you don't, you could be found in contempt of court, which means you can be criminally charged. And it's crazy as you show up, you're in a room with hundreds of people. But here's how it works in Wayne County, which is where Detroit is at. You'll show up, you're in a room with hundreds of people, and they're showing movies from like 1970 on a VHS player. And you have to wait there till they call you're in a group. They call your group, you'll go up. Sometimes your group won't be called. They'll sign your paperwork. You're clear because you showed up. You can't be called again. The next thing is if you do get called up, then you're going to have to go up in the courtroom. They're going to go through and they're going to have questions for the witnesses. They're going to want to know who you are, what you do for a living, things like that. Me as a law enforcement officer, always they were like, nope, get him out of here. We don't want him. So that always got me out of being on jury duty. So that's how that works. But yeah, you get called from a pool of available people who can be jurors. Love it. What is the membership? If you go to my channel homepage, there's a thing where you can actually become a member of my channel. I'm getting ready to. Oh, folks, if you haven't already, make sure you get me your addresses and everything, so I can start getting everything shipped out for all the members of the channel. Mojo, he says, Chad, light it up already. So,
don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
Yeah. Mojo, did you get my my message on Facebook about the image? If not, if you can go back and take a look at it. Let's see. Oh, we got a new member, Jennifer Kane. Is it Najer or a Nahor? So let me know. Let's see. Jill Anderson at Clearwater Chat and John Poe. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. This is why I do this is, I love, sharing with everyone. And I love the fact that we have this great community where everyone can be open and supportive. I don't care about your financial, your social, all that. You're a human being and you deserve love and respect and you deserve to be treated right. And that's one of the things I really look for with my channel is a great group of people who are more like a family than we are just people with the same common goal. Deviant Outcast. What I don't get about religious freedom and not dragging COS into the trial is religious freedom's about you being allowed to believe whatevs, not a religious order doing whatevs. It's through court cases, precedent-setting court cases. I can't remember it all off the top of my head, but I believe there are also some Supreme Court rulings about it. And the thing is that with religious doctrine or religious policies, those are generally things you cannot bring up in court if you're a prosecutor or something like that. You're on the prosecution side. Now, if the defense brings it up and they're representing someone who's part of that, they just open the floodgates and you can start talking about things. But a lot of it's covered under the freedom of religion in our Constitution. Matt Elliott, I've heard 8 from Aaron. Another story coming out that DM tried to drug a woman at a bar, but the bouncers kicked him out because they knew. Yeah, there's more and more that are coming forward. And the thing is that we have to be supportive and, take their word on it. It's for a jury and a judge and a court to make the decision if they're guilty or not. There's been a lot of cases where people have been tried in the jury of the public and come to find out the person was never involved. And there's a great organization that literally is going back and DNA testing a lot of cases where people had been convicted and there either wasn't DNA available at that time or it was overlooked. Here in Wayne County, Michigan, there were, I believe, somewhere in the range of 2,000 SA cases that were never properly investigated. And the Wayne County prosecutor had to hire a special team specifically to go back and start going through these SA cases and to start bringing the people to justice. And the sad thing is we're talking like 20 years later, which is the same thing for the Jane Does in this case. But the thing, at least they're stepping up and finally doing the right thing and investigating these cases. I think they're pretty close to being done with most of them now. Meredith's 2 cents. Welcome, Meredith. Was horrified when Aaron hoped jurors watched his content. Way to go for wishing for a mistrial. Yeah, honestly, he's telling the truth about how he feels about it. I don't personally know. An attorney would be better at this as to whether that taints the jury. So, and that's another reason why I've stayed out of this until the conviction came down. Like I said, number one, I didn't want to be reporting on something that I personally wasn't there to witness and know what's going on. So I've let the people that were there give out their reports on what's going on daily with the trial. And that's, now that it's over with, I'm open to speak more. And I get a lot more information behind the scenes from folks that are involved with it. So that's why I'm waiting for like the interview with Detective Reyes. TBI firefighter at Poe. Typically stars get protective custody or they are made trustees. Yeah, like I said, we're talking about it's California. And, all of my law enforcement career has been in Michigan. Jennifer, make sure you let me know how you pronounce the last name because I don't want to butcher it. Annie Kurtz, maybe they will play that DM cut asking where he sees himself in 5 years. He states prison. Oh, yeah, that was from when he was younger. Yeah. Marjan, can I get out of jury duty because I am on the because you're disabled? I believe it all depends on the what the disability is, and if it's something that they feel will impair you from being able to be a juror. What I would do is, put that in with the courts. Get something from your doctor if you think that it would disqualify you from being a juror, and then let the courts make the decision on it. Jay Dice, it's now easier than ever to fight COS tax exemption status for a small fee. A beautifully designed eye-catching postcard will be sent straight to your rep. Sorry, I was out there and my allergies are up. I've been talking directly with a member of the House of Representatives, for United States Congressman, and I was really, really surprised at how hard it is to get tax exemption removed. It's amazing. Well, Robbie, that is so sweet. I love that message. Oh, thank you. Let's see. All right, get down here. Deviant Outcast. FYI, once I'm officially stable to make it through the month again, I will super chat. Hey, folks, here's the thing. If you're not able to, you're not able to. That's why I try to get in here and answer as many questions as I can. Of course, the super chats they're going to get a little bit of preference on it. If you can't, you can't. I'm not holding against anyone. All the money that comes in through the super chats and the memberships and all that all goes towards new equipment. I've been talking about it behind the scenes with Chad. I'm actually working on a big adventure over in Asia. And what I'm looking to do is a motorcycle journey from the very northern border of Thailand all the way to the southern border with Malaysia. And so money that comes in for those things, that's something that's going for right now. But if you can't do a super chat, don't worry about it. I'm not, I don't hold it against anyone. I don't do this to make money. So I appreciate everyone being here and joining in into the conversation. And I love to hear it all. Let's see. Jenny Wong, welcome. I know visitors have to be vetted, but wouldn't it be nice once Danny is in prison, maybe if some of the SPs could visit him and tell him a few home truths? The thing is he has to accept you as a visitor. It could be different in California. I'm not gonna swear to it, but most prisons that I know of, if they don't want to see you, they're not going to see you. So 1 second, sorry, folks. Like I said, my allergies are blown out. Gustina Beefers, if COS members are taught to lie, are they still protected by religious freedom from laws? That just seems illegal. Well, the fact is that if you lie to law enforcement, intentionally lie to law enforcement, and it's proven, then that's obstruction of justice. If you do it to a federal agent, that's a 10-year hit. You do it in court, that's called perjury. And here in the state of Michigan, that can be 15 years. So, that religious freedom doesn't cover that. It's if you directly lie to law enforcement, it's proven that you're impeding, you can get a lot of trouble for it. DV Notcast, that's my way of saying sorry for taking up too much time. Your topics are always interesting and your answers even more so. Thank you. Never worry about it, bud. Never worry about it. TBI firefighter, chaplains can be asked for non-religious testimony, for instance, even when an inmate act out and etc. Yeah, I don't know too much into that area. There are certain exemptions that you can't, that I'm not even going to try to get into it because I don't know it fully. Normally when it comes to something like that, I refer to the prosecutor's office and let them make the decision on whether or not a member of the clergy is going to be questioned. Well, Robbie, not only is there a huge backlog in various states, and some people have to pay their own CSC, and that's criminal sexual conduct kits. It's infuriating me. Here in Michigan, we don't, but that was one of the reasons why it was backed up so long, was because quite honestly, Wayne County claims to be bankrupt, and they weren't able to pay for the forensics for all of the kits. And thankfully, there was a court order that came in and made them do it. Richie Pound, what are your thoughts? Danny looks in the mirror for 30 years in prison. Does he still believe in Scientology after that? That's a really interesting one. The thing is that he's, how do I even say this? He's got a lot of soul searching to do. That's for sure. So yeah, I would be interested to see how he is in just a couple years. Nayor, okay. There you go. Thank you. I am a Michigan native living in Los Angeles, dodging Scientology pamphlets left and right. Love hearing the Michigan references. Thank you. And thank you for the membership and for that super chat. How is it living in LA? The things I've been seeing is dreadful. So let me know. Let me know how things are in LA. Veronica wants to know, what is Chad drinking?
Xenu coffee.
Let's see. Lisa, I'm new to the channel. I saw you on Aaron's channel. Happy to see a different perspective on everything. I will have to watch some of your older videos and see how you tie into SPTV. Thank you. The thing is, I'm not a former Scientologist. My experience with it, and I've said it before, was seeing the Dianetics commercial back in the 80s, the volcano video. and just being like, whoa. So I went out and got Dianetics, read about 2 or 3 chapters into it. And I'm like, WTF, this is not what I thought it was. And it went into the pile. A few years later, we got to see Miss Remini bring out her Aftermath show. Well, actually, I saw Going Clear, and then I saw Leah and Mike's show come on, and that got me more into it. I went down the rabbit hole, started watching the YouTube channels. Ended up, Aaron asked for a law enforcement person to give their perspective on something, and literally, I had my channel. I was doing mostly DIY crafting, hobbying, and reviewing equipment and such. Got on Aaron's channel, did the first live stream, which is I think about 100,000 views on that one, and it just blew up from there. I know that the 4 videos now that I've been on with Aaron, we have close to 300,000 views altogether with them. So it's been pretty crazy. Well, Robbie, very interesting information. Getting a court order to help move justice along is also very helpful. Yeah, the crazy. It's, one of the things you got to remember, folks, is the wheels of justice turn slowly, but hopefully the right thing happens and justice is served. Marilyn, do you think Danny can be? Do you think Danny be forced to have psych eval? I've heard differing opinions. Every state's different on how they do it. He may be forced, and I don't know if he will have the right to deny it, and to refuse to it. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Mojo, all right, bud. I know. Take care of that grandbaby.
Yep.
Diana B, are you at very least SPTV adjacent? Yes. Well, I mean, if you look up in the upper right hand corner of the screen, you'll see part of the SPTV fam there. My history has always been about being someone who stands up for those who can't fight for themselves or aren't strong enough. Did a lot of work with human trafficking as a law enforcement officer. As I've said, I've done a lot of criminal sexual conduct cases, SA cases. And so I've always been someone who stood up for those who couldn't stand for themselves. And so this was just a natural transition for me when I see the things that are going on and being reported about what's going on in the Church of Scientology. It wasn't that hard of a leap for me. Let's see. Jennifer, the infomercial campaign they started on TV in LA is awful. They are so desperate right now. I wouldn't doubt it. Marjan, I only know about Scientology because of Leah Going Clear or something. Yep. And that's what really brought it back into the public eye again, was the Leah Remini show. A lot that was very heavily watched. Marilyn Hogan, Ho has become a staple of SPTV. Thank you. Yeah, I'm right in there with it. We were right there before it was SPTV. Has Scientology ever tried to buy you? Not that I know of. I've had some interesting things that have happened that we're actually waiting to. I'm waiting to see whether or not there's going to be some criminal charges may come out of some things that have happened. Love it. Love this, but gotta bounce. Great show, guys. Great chat. Nighty night. Good night. Thank you for joining us, and you're always welcome back. Let's see. Oh, wow. Make Aaron pay. Please help him reach his goal of 200,000 so he can give the Aftermath Foundation $1,000. Yeah, if you aren't already, and I think most everybody here has come over from Aaron Smith Levin's Growing Up with Scientology channel. If you haven't, get over there and subscribe. Aaron's a great guy. He puts out a ton of content. So he actually went to LA and was there every day for the trial. Victoria Morris, hey, Poe, we are in the same boat. Went down the rabbit hole. Now it takes up 4 hours a day. I never knew how much that doing the YouTube stuff was really how much time it takes. I make a joke about it. You film for 30 seconds and edit for 3 hours. But I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes I'll have 8-9 hours of editing in one day's time for some of the content. And I'm not a professional editor. Love Sherlock. They're messing with you, Poe. I really can't say anything about it right now. Because like I said, we're looking into possibility of criminal charges. So let's just say someone was following me.
Wow.
I confronted them a couple houses down from my home, and they haven't been back since. Let's just say that the person whose home they were actually parked in front of, who called me to let me know, I'd seen the same vehicle, same person, um, 60 miles away from my home while I was helping my wife with her courier business, and then see them back here parked 2 houses down from my home. Well, the person who called me happens to be a high ranking member of what is called an outlaw motorcycle club. And they weren't very friendly about it. But I went down and was able to have a talk with them. So we're looking into possible harassment, possible stalking charges. TBI Fire SA and domestic abuses, deputy 6 years. Thank you. Yeah, oh man, domestic violence.
Wow.
That and SA, those are crippling. Karen Lee Maloney. Hey, Karen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the great info and conversation this evening, but it's time for me to go to, yeah. Believe me, I understand. Not everybody's on the same time zone. We have some folks that are here from all the way across the pond over in Great Britain. We have folks that are from South America. We have people from Australia and some folks that are from, well, gotta love Thailand. Dave is 13 hours. I can't remember if it's 13 or 12 hours time difference. So yeah, it's crazy. When did I realize that Scientology was crooked? I was, like I said, I was never in it, but the more I learned through Going Clear and from Leah Remini and the reports of people who had escaped, that really started raising my suspicion of things. Mandy Gonzalez was such an SP that Japan, or yeah. If you haven't heard that story, I know everybody's probably heard it before, but while I was on my way back, I was in Malaysia, contracted malaria. Had to end my trip early, came back and had a 20 some hour layover in Tokyo. So I decided I was going to try to do a live stream from the Tokyo org. I walked in, had a mask on, and at one point, the lady, and she was super nice. She was a darling. So she told me I had to take my mask off because I had a cloth mask and I was going to have to use one of those N95 style masks. And they gave them for free, but I took it off. She saw my face, looked at the other person. Next thing I know, I had to leave. So, that's pretty crazy. Postate Alex, keep up the good work, Poe. You rock. Thank you, sir. You do too, man. You're killing it over there. And if you haven't been there, make sure you get over to Apostate Alex's channel as well. He is just a great guy. He's a friend of mine. I consider him a brother, and just a really good person. Let's see, Richie Pound, plug that guitar in and give us some Ace of Spades. I prefer Killed by Death, man. Ace of Spades is good, but Killed by Death is my favorite. If you've never heard, I'm a huge fan of the band Motorhead. I actually about went deaf at one of their concerts, and a friend I was there with, we left out of the arena that we were at where the concert was going on. And instead of using the restroom while he was in there, he decided he was going to relieve himself in the alley and ended up doing it on the front of Motorhead's tour bus. And we actually were caught. He was actually caught by Lemmy from Motorhead. We actually ended up spending a few hours on their bus, enjoying some liquid libations. I don't drink, but I did that night because it was Motorhead. Daniel Sander, when Popo tells you to go, you better do so. He got the point. Let's just put it that way. He got the point, and I doubt he will be back, but I've got all this information, and like I said, we're looking at possible criminal charges on it. Me, myself, and I, thank you for joining us. Love the info, love the channel, but I have to go. I completely understand. I get a lot of people sending me messages. I'm sorry I missed the live stream. You know what? If you catch it on replay, that to me, that's just as good. You're here and you're being part of the discussion. Postate Alex, out of interest, how long was it between your first appearance on Aaron's channel and your trip to Tokyo org? Lord have mercy. I'd have to go back and look at the channel. I would say, what do you think, Chad? Maybe 6 months?
If that. It was pretty close.
Yeah,
I think it was
this
closer than that.
blew up. Yeah, you better be blushing, Alex. But yeah, if you get a chance, get over to Alex's channel. Great guy. Let's see here. The Zoppity, hey, welcome. Thank you for that super chat. Love getting your perspective, Poe. If you're getting kicked out, you're doing something right. That's the way I look at it. Is hey,
True.
they're kicking me out of the org, and I've talked about it with Aaron and other folks that are former members, and the thing was, I was in Thailand, Malaysia, and I made it very clear that I was going to be doing it from a special secret location for my live stream. And there were only two places that it could be in Asia, and that was either going to be in Bangkok or it was going to be in Tokyo. So all they had to do was just send out my information. Diana B, the more SP channels I see and their stories, I'm like, wow, Scientology. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? Let's see what's this. New today, part 4, Amy Scobie and Matt Pesh, Life After Scientology. Yeah, if you haven't gotten a chance, get over to Amy's channel also. Jennifer, what? That is amazing, Poe. Love me. Oh, awesome. Welcome. Yeah, always another metalhead. I'm actually editing it right now. YouTube keeps kicking it back for because copyright. I did an interview with a member of the band Septic Flesh, and I'm interviewing some musical people that are, for upcoming episodes. And so if you get a chance, check that out. It'll be out pretty soon here. And if you've never heard the band Septic Flesh, they're amazing. They are what they call a symphonic death metal band, but they do it so much different than a lot of the other bands do. There are more SPs than Scientologists, I hope. I would believe so. There, the estimations of the numbers of people who are actually in the Church of Scientology now, they vary greatly from just a few thousand all the way up to 29,000. So there's no telling how many they actually know. Jenny Wong, from Malaysia, you're only 4,750 kilometers from Australia. You could bring your bike over and ride to the coastlines. Here's a crazy one. I was, my wife and I were set to travel out to Australia. We were going to go to I think it was called CMT Big Country Weekend Concert Festival right outside of Brisbane. The day before we were supposed to fly out is when Australia locked down. Had we flown out the day before, we would have been locked in Australia for a year or two. I'm not really complaining. I'd have liked it. Well, Robbie, Amy and Matt's videos give me life. They are so cute. I tell you what, I really like Amy and Matt's Amy's content. I really like Mark and Janice with our Scientology stories, peeling the onion. I think those two, and they have a completely different view than a lot of people do. Janice actually worked with L. Ron Hubbard when he got his first ship. I mean, the stories she's got are incredible, and she's a darling. Loved having her on. Let's see.
A lot of good questions tonight, guys. Thanks.
Keep them coming. I'm loving it. Agustina Beefers. Scientology truly takes advantage of any person. That's what it would appear. That it's all about money. And if you caught my interview with Janice, she talks about the fact that that's not what it was about when LRH was in. It was about growing Scientology, and that was after his passing and new dictatorship took over, that this whole focus on bringing in as much money as possible really started going to a next level. And that's directly from Janice, who was there. Let's see. Victoria Morris, maybe COS has a bit list like FBI Most Wanted. Oh, I'm from what I've heard from folks like Mike Render, Aaron Smith Levin, Mark, they have a list, and they know who everybody is. Question, Chad, were you ever a Scientologist?
No, I started watching the Lee Remini show, and then I caught Aaron, and then the rest is history.
Well, tell him how you came up with Clearwater
okay.
Chat.
Well, Aaron, I watched Aaron every day religiously for 6 months, and he did the parody video. He did the reaction videos to Tampa Brad, and he came up with a challenge for anyone to come up with somebody called Clearwater Chad. I was the first one to do it. Now we have 2 Clearwater Chads. Soon there will be millions, and the rest is history. So everyone, I do have a channel, Clearwater Chad. It's called
Oh yeah,
Clearwater Chad.
if you haven't already, make sure you get over and show Chad some love. Really great guy. He's a personal friend of mine. We talk on the phone a lot. So, but he's a really good guy. Has his son Chaz on there with him quite a bit. So much like my Roscoe, he has his sidekick that he always has on his channel for him.
Thanks,
TBA firefighter. Our church has tried for 10 years to get nonprofit status. If you can't afford tax attorneys, you can just forget it. You know, that's one of the sad things, like with if you're trying to get disability and you can apply for years and years and years and never get it. Hire an attorney and suddenly you get it. That's one of the things I really dislike about our judicial system is the fact that if you have an attorney, then the system can be played and attorneys can get you whatever you want. I've literally seen as far as I know, it's an ongoing lawsuit where a man went to represent himself in court and a court clerk refused to allow him to do it, which by law, and I believe it's constitutional, you have a right to represent yourself. Don't think it's the most bright thing in the world, but you know, I do know people who've passed the bar without ever doing, well, they can't do it anymore. It's now law. You have to go through so many years of college. But here in Michigan, I know of one person that passed the bar without ever going to college a day in their life. So it's crazy. Plus, you have to remember, TBI, it wasn't just the tax attorneys. It was the all-out onslaught of assault on the IRS, newspaper articles going after the IRS agents themselves. And this is documented stuff. They literally started putting all these horrible things about these people in the paper. And I think it finally was the straw that broke the camel's back on it, is how they got it. Richie Pound, you should talk about Doug Scott Kramer. Oh yeah. Yeah. Doug, Alex, Chad, and I are the 4 horsemen. And you know, we're all friends. We all, you know, we talk quite a bit, and we do a lot of combined streaming where we'll all get together and we call it the 4 horsemen. Matter of fact, we need to do one soon, don't we?
Absolutely.
And but yeah, Doug Scott Kramer, Dazed but Not Confused, as his channel. Make sure you get over and check that out. Love Sherlock. Apostate said 132 Scientologists in all of Ireland. I think I got that right. That may very well be. There are certain areas where it never grew. It started, but for some reason it lost the fire. Mandy Gonzalez, at Poe, at Chad, at Alex. When are you doing it? There we go. Another 4 horsemen.
Yeah, that tells you people like the 4 horsemen, right?
We've got so much going on. Literally, I get between 20 and 50 emails a day. So yeah, it gets crazy. TBI firefighter, link for that band. They sound awesome. Yeah, it's called, I'll type it in right now. That's their name. And let's see if I can find their, all right, there we go. We go to their channel. There we go. Okay, so I'll put the link down there for everybody if you're interested. That's their home channel there. Really nice folks, really nice. And I'm a metalhead. I love all forms of heavy metal.
Or you could listen to Chad's favorite band, Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Wow.
Yeah.
You said 80s. That's 70s, dude.
I like 70s too and 60s.
Coffee first, please. Thank you for joining us. Could you imagine dropping your child off at a boat like Janice was? My kids are 26 years old. I have twins, boy, girl. It killed me to drop them off at school for the first day. It broke my heart. But dropping your kid off on a boat with no one that you know, oh my gosh. You know, it's interesting. Janice's guardian was L. Ron Hubbard's wife. I mean, you talk about somebody who has history in that organization. I'm blown away. Gustina Beefers, I'm blown away that it didn't start that way. DM really dragged it down the dark path. From what I'm hearing from someone just pulled in my driveway. From what I'm hearing from Janice and Mark, it really took a downward spiral after the passing of LRH. I was also completely blown away when Janice talked about the letter that was put out making brokers the special officers in Scientology, Pat and Annie Broker. And that she believed that was actually a fake letter. That blew me away because so many people use that as proof that Miscavige tried to steal Scientology. That floored me. And you know what? I have no reason to not believe Janice on that. She has been very forthcoming. She's very open and honest about everything. So I believe it. Apostate Alex, even though David Miscavige changed and altered a lot of Scientology, it's abusive in and of itself. Yeah, the no lie there. I mean, I believe that the abuses that have been reported have been long before he took over, but the whole monetary aspect of it, that was the crazy thing. Let's see here. Matt Elliott, have you ever heard of a California band called Mudmen? I've heard that name, basically lead singer, guitarist, bassist, drummer. Oh, wow. I love the fact they've got bagpipes in there. I'm going to have to check them out. Email me with a link to something on them. I would love to hear it and maybe even get them on the channel. Yep, I've heard the same thing from every single old timer. They don't deny that money were a huge part of it back in the days, but today it's all about the money. And that's from what I'm hearing. It's crazy. Jenny Wong. That's so true, J Dice. It takes a long time to go anywhere. We get 4 weeks for holiday. Yeah, that's something that's always killed me is, Europe, Australia, they get a month, 2 months for vacation. Here in America, yeah, you get a week or two. I loved it with the department because I got towards the end, my last 10 years in the department, I got 15 vacation days a year. And then I had personal days and I could work up PTOs, paid time off, where I could do, instead of getting overtime pay for overtime work, I would have it put into a bank so I could use it towards my time off. I'd literally take, I think at one year I took 3 months off total. So Purple Groovy, it's really sad. It makes me cry because she's waiting for the person that ruined her life. I don't know what that one was about. But Love Sherlock, LRH put children in the hole on the Apollo and threw Sea Org members overboard. So there's that. Yeah. Again, we're not discrediting the fact that that the abuses were happening. It's mainly on the point of how the turn from, it's about growing the organization to it's all about money was the point we're talking on. And yeah, I believe 100% that the abuses were going on back then. And from the stuff that I'm hearing from a lot of different people who were in there back in the old days, yeah, the abuses were there. Juliana Bittencourt and that medium talking to the medium who talked to Kirstie Alley, also interviewed LRH, and LRH said he groomed DM to be the next leader. Yeah, that's interesting. The crazy thing is you hear from some people that DM was actually being disciplined and said, nope, not happening, and went right back to work at his job. So Darlene, what were both of your reactions to the guilty verdict? My reaction was, finally, and now we'll get to see some justice for these ladies who've been waiting 20 years for it. Chad, what was your reaction?
Similar. If the jury said he's guilty, and he should be punished.
Yeah. Let's see. Great Peeling the Onion episode for anyone who hasn't caught up yet. Yeah. They have a lot of great content, and they have a lot of information that you're not hearing from anybody else. TBI firefighter, 1 week unless I did not use my sick days. Yeah. Believe me, when I first hired in, my first 3 years on the job, I was never allowed to ask for a day off. Now I was able to get 1 week's vacation. It wasn't till I was promoted to corporal and then my vacation days basically doubled, but I got 1 week vacation a year for my first 3 years. I'll tell you this, and my wife can attest to it. I never had Christmas Day off. I worked for 25 years. Every Christmas I worked at the police department. Now, one of the reasons is we're talking about double time and a half for working the holidays. The other reason, I lived literally a quarter of a mile from the police department. So on Christmas morning, I would come home, watch the kids open their presents. And we'd all open our presents, have a nice little thing. Well, because you never had calls on Christmas morning. It wasn't until the evening after everybody started getting into the liquid libations. But in the mornings, it was always nice and quiet. And so I'd be able to go home and actually sit down with my family while presents were opened. And then, of course, we'd have Christmas dinner that evening. But I worked Christmas every year for the whole time I was in law enforcement. Danny Crook, I find it so interesting that LRH despised donations. DM focused on them almost solely. Yeah, like we said, that's just how it's going. Jenny Wong, you are too funny, Chad. I've been reeling in the years, and Ricky, don't lose that number on my playlist.
People agree, and both Chads agree that Steely Dan's the best band.
Let's see. Trying to get down through here because I'm so far behind. Oh, there we go. I'm finally up. Let's see. TBI firefighter, 60 hours salary per week. Yeah. My wife can attest to it. There were times where we got paid every 2 weeks. So every check would be for 80 hours. And there would be times when I would have 80 hours regular time, 80 hours overtime on my checks. What was really crazy was I would bring home less money on one of those checks that had 160 hours on it than I would on my normal pay without any overtime because of all the taxes they took out. So Jennifer M., I offered to work most holidays. I was blessed that my parents were happy to take care of my daughter. As a single mom, I needed the holiday pay. Yeah, it's understandable. Mm-hmm. With me, I was fortunate my wife was there. And she took care of the kids on Christmas morning, and I was able to get home, I never missed out, but I worked every Christmas.
And can I just say, as a fellow state worker, I'll work every holiday and sit on a chair for 8 hours.
Not me. I was on the road till I got up into corporal and sergeant. And then I was able to sit back and relax, but it wasn't until after I'd gotten up there in rank. When you're just a patrolman, you're out on the roads.
At the universities, it's a little more quiet on the holidays.
Well, I would hope so. Yeah, everybody goes home from Hogwarts for the holidays. So, Oracle One, I still work every Christmas. A nurse, please just get more time off than 6 weeks. Yeah, like I said, when I first started, I only got a week off every year, and I think that the new folks coming in, they do too. What is the science behind spirit boxes? Is it like e-meters, i.e. BS? Chad, do you know anything about spirit boxes?
No, just the e-meter. I don't know. I'll have to look into those.
Yeah, I haven't heard about those. Let's see here. Looking down here through here some more. Okay, GK, thank you for joining us. Matt Elliott, I love working holidays in my call center. I just hate the day after. Oh yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And like for us, I always hated if we worked a rotating shift. So every month we would be on a different shift. We would, first shift was midnights, which is 11 to 7. Second would be the 7 to 3, and then 3 to 11 for third. And I always hated if it was Christmas or New Year's if I was on the midnight shift, because that's when all H broke loose. So it was not fun. Juliana Bittencourt, you're telling the secret. Now everyone knows Hogwarts is in Clearwater. Well, that's just where the oh Lord, I just lost it. Portkey is for that's where that's at. So they still got to find the Portkey. Jenny Wong, I'm listening to Steve Cannon's book, Fair Game, Untold Story of Scientology in Australia. He has stated how LRH was absolutely brutal and evil towards his first two wives. I've heard some crazy things, but when you look into it and you hear the stories about him being into the Aleister Crowley, blood and sex kind of magic that they were trying to do, I mean, that's some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, especially for a guy who, when he later became more founded with the whole Scientology thing, there was no extramarital. You know, you didn't have sex unless you were married, but yet here was a person who was involved in actual sex acts as part of a magic. It just kill me. Manny Gonzalez, a spirit box is, from what I understand, a tool for ghosts to communicate. Oh wow! I you know what?
I didn't know that.
That's the thing. Learn something new every day.
Yep.
Purple Groovy, from what I understand, you don't get sick days. If you get sick, then that means you're out ethics. You did something wrong, you know. And that was something that really killed me in this case. Hearing one of the Jane Does talking about, well, two of them that I recall, two of them talking about how, you know, it's your fault. You didn't get the R word done to you. It was yours because you're out ethics. And then for one of them talking about how they made her go back through her prior life experiences and find out who she had actually committed an essay on. And that was the reason why it happened to her. Sickening. Absolutely sickening. Like I said, a person who is a victim of something like this, you have to show compassion. You have to show respect. My goodness. Matt Elliott, my dad was a firefighter when I was growing up. He would go deer hunting every year. My birthday, November 16th. He was home on my birthday before he passed when I was like 40, maybe like 5 of them. Here in Michigan, I believe it's the November 15th, or it's the second weekend in November is when deer season starts here. And they have something here that they call deer widows, the wives who, deer widows, the wives who stay home while their husbands are gone deer hunting. I haven't actually hunted in years. I don't need to. I've got so many people bring me deer that they want me to process out for them that I've literally got more deer in my freezer than I could ever eat. I give a lot of it away to other people as well. Irma Webb, everyone, I need a favor. Please go to Nora's comments and read my comment if still there and help me nag Nora to interview Kate Bornstein. She recruited me and my sister into the Sea Org. Ooh, very good. Irma, can you put your link up for your channel? Would love to hear that. Love to see that. Jennifer M., my husband has a SPV tech position at a bank and has no set amount of time off as long as projects are getting done. He takes minimum 2 months to go home to India. So LOI, I stay home with the fur babies. Yeah. You know, and the world's changing. There's a lot of people that literally work from home. I have friends a good friend of mine lives in Bangkok. He and his wife is Thai. They live in Bangkok, and he literally does everything from his home. He's a chief operating officer for a English teaching company. He literally works from home, and it's crazy because he does it all, you know, remote video and all that. Purple Groovy, didn't LRH hit one of his wives in the head for smiling? I don't know about that story.
I think he thought that she was thinking about something, like she was thinking about cheating on him. Just in his head, he thought that, or something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I wouldn't doubt it. But, you know, I mean, he had magic powers. He just couldn't fix his teeth. Yep. So, Postita Alex, Irma, I was actually talking to Nora earlier today. She definitely wants to get Kate on board. I've actually been trying to reach her for a few weeks for the same reason. She's very busy. And I mean, Chad can tell you, Alex can tell you, I mean, the more this stuff blows up, the busier we get.
Yep.
You know, I'm still trying to do 2 live streams a week doing the AP laser and the crafting and hobbying. So it's crazy. Willie Weed sounds great. Just looked her up, trying to see if she's related to Alex Bornstein. Doesn't seem so. Did the link get up there? Okay. This is the link Irma was talking about. Goldie put this up there. That's the link that she was talking about. Make sure you get over there and check that out. And the thing is, Irma's been coming here pretty much since I started doing the Scientology stuff. She's always been basically in the background, and you know, she's a really good person. My mom was a moose and deer widow from 1977 to 2016. He passed in 2017, so didn't go that year because of, yeah. Believe me, I know. Like I said, as someone who was diagnosed and I'm in remission, the whole cancer thing is just, my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, and again, folks, if you didn't hear about it already, Mike Render's wife put something up on his blog announcing that Mike is an advanced esophageal cancer. He's in treatment, and hopefully things work out for the best. So make sure you're sending out your love for Mike. And as I said, someone who's been in that fight with it, yeah, it's not fun. Like I said earlier, we got the initial diagnosis from my general practitioner, been our doctor for 20 years. Couldn't get in to see an oncologist for almost 3 months. I've got to say that the doctor that my oncologist is just a beautiful person, and she's taken such good care of me. So, World ISD lawyer. Wow. Where are you from? Are you actually a lawyer? Caught you on Aaron's channel. Thank you for the interesting, insightful comment. Thank you for the super chat. Shoot me an email. I'll put it in down here. I just put my my email out there. Shoot me an email. I'd like to talk to you. Mark Fisher, Mark's in here. Everybody say hi.
Good. You seen that one? Yeah, everyone go visit their Onion channel. It's a great channel.
Janice and I did an interview this week with the person who created the RPF and why it was done. Coming soon. Oh yeah, leave us hanging, Mark. Thanks.
I know, right?
Yeah, we're gonna got some great information.
I think Clearwater Chad should get a sneak preview. Am I right, everyone?
But everybody, make sure you say hi to Mark. He and Janice have a fantastic channel, like I've been saying from the start. They give us insight into the original Scientology, how things were done, the thoughts, the processes, everything on there. And it's crazy. Okay, folks, the person I was talking about, Idea Studio Bangkok, my buddy Dana Bluin and his wife Jib there. You see them in the picture. Friends of mine live in Bangkok. And what do you think, buddy? Oh, I knocked over the mic. We'll give it a second to start. Oh, wait a minute. No, hold on. There we go. I gotta plug it in. What? Okay. Well, apparently Roscoe's got it the cord. There it goes.
Oh wow.
It's actually an arcade one up. I'm waiting for the new one I want the one that has like the 200 games on it. I just finished building a pedestal for it. But yeah, Dana and Jib, friends of mine out of Bangkok, great people. Make sure you check out their channel. You know, they're been over there, actually been to their home. Really great people. Love them. Idea Studio Bangkok. Deviant Outcast, Poe on the Go. LRH kidnapped his baby daughter with second wife, took her out of country and told his wife he'd killed and thrown the. I heard that story, and that's absolutely insane that he did something like that. I mean, that really gives you insight into the character of the person. So yeah, I don't know, anything to do with children just absolutely burns me. Um, Mesothelioma and esophageal cancer survivor, but I went with the Chinese herbal medicine instead of traditional treatments. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be up to you, your decision on how you want to handle those things. Mine, thank goodness, I go through a treatment that's like dialysis, and it's very it absolutely wipes me out for about a day or two, but I haven't had to have a treatment in 6 months now. I'm due to go back in and see Dr. Thomas pretty soon here and get my blood check. Let's see, idea. There we go. Idea noise. That was, why isn't it showing? That was my favorite game back in the day. Yeah, you know what? Loved Rampage, but my favorite was Galaga. I absolutely loved that. And do you remember when Dragon's Lair came out? Ooh, my. And yeah, working on things right now. It's absolutely insane. We've talked about it before, what the things that are going on. But yeah, I'm actually working on trying to get back there. I'm actually trying to work on a big adventure of going from the northern border with Laos and riding a motorcycle all the way down to the Malaysia border. Let's see here. Let's see. Roscoe is plumb tired. He is now. He's been out there all day chasing them daggone birds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was is it the one that was the sister of the wife of one of his friends that he ran off with and had a child with, if that's what I'm thinking about. I don't know if she was actually his wife or not. Let's see. Matt Elliott, this disowned her. I have, it's the stories. I think that Mark and Janice are the best ones to relay what happened with that whole thing. They know better. They were there. We're watching it firsthand. Dragon Lair was next level game. Oh yeah. I mean, I remember there was a line all the way out of and folks, I'm old enough that I actually went to arcades as a child. When Dragon's Lair came out, there was literally a line all the way out of the place, people waiting to play it. It was that advanced. LRH beat his wife for smiling in her sleep because she claimed she dreamt about some other man and cheated on him. Hey, you know what? I mean, my wife's got mad at me for things I said in her dreams. So it's not surprising. I think every married man has gone through that. Apostate Alex, yeah, we got to get together and start talking about it. We need another Four Horsemen episode. I love those. And you know what? I got to get hold of Doug. I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks now. I need to get hold of him, see how he's doing. Coffee first, please. He was married to 2 different women at the same time. There we go. Polygamist, huh?
I believe it.
Oh, and you want to know somebody who makes some bomb coffee? Dana with Idea Studio Bangkok. He's literally got Frankenstein's lab in his kitchen to make his coffee, and man, that's some bomb coffee. Let's see. Our video games were at Putt Putt Golf Course. I loved going there. It was high school hangout for us. In our local mall, we had an actual arcade in there, and man, that place was always jumping. Care for JCYT. Spent so much in. Oh yeah. Believe me, I got a job as soon as I could. And at 14, I got the waiver to let me work a job. And before that, it was, mowing lawns, things like that. But the thing is all that money was saved up for that arcade. I literally walked in with a gallon jug of water and spent the day there on Saturdays and Sundays. Rexican Messler, just heard about Mike. Oh man, I'm a survivor of throat cancer, 7 weeks of chemo and radiation. I made it through no surgery, and I'm hoping for the best. And congratulations. Glad to hear that you made it to the other side. Welcome. Idea Studio, I got to make the coffee right. Yeah. Believe me, he's got a really cool setup in his kitchen. You ought to see. I mean, their first floor of their home, they have basically like a whole sewing shop. He has his his computer set up, huge monitors, and he got a great setup over there. He does some really good editing. OBG Foster, are cops the best experts on coffee? Seems like they would be. I found that a lot of the I shouldn't say guys, younger folks don't really drink the coffee. They are more into Monster Energy drink and stuff like that. I just know that there were certain brands when I was an officer on the road that I went to certain cafes because they used a certain brand of coffee, and I wouldn't go to the others because they just, after you had that one brand, the rest of them tasted dirty. Gustina Beefers, no, that would bankrupt them. And okay, I don't. To Goldie and C, thank you for joining us. How did you get into traveling to Thailand and Asia? Did I miss the explanation? That was a few videos back. I did. Originally, it started with after the pro MMA world had basically collapsed and had become illegal pretty much everywhere. My father is in the Hall of Fame for professional wrestling, and he had trained me in something called catch wrestling, which was the original form of professional wrestling. I was invited over to Tokyo for one of the big Tokyo death match things. And it was a lot of money, especially for someone working the independent scene. So, and it was a chance to go to Japan. I'd done a lot of traveling when I was in the military, things like that. But, married, children, you don't have, I couldn't excuse myself to be able to do that kind of traveling at that point. And for me to be able to get paid to go do it. Yeah. And, I've just had that bug. I'm a nomad. I love it. If I didn't have a family, I wouldn't be living in the United States now. I'd be living in Thailand. We had an arcade in our local mall called Dream Machine. I dropped many a quarter in those machines. Yeah, believe me, brother. I know that. My pockets were full when I walked in and empty when I left. Cancer loves to eat two things, sugar and yeast. So stop feeding it. Mine's a different kind. It's considered it's considered cancer, but it works differently. Mine is a bloodborne cancer. Are they really still laying clothes out for LRH? As far as I know, they're still washing and prepping his clothes every day and laying them out for him. Destonia Salazar, thank you, Poe, for the amazing. Oh, thank you. Like I said, I appreciate each and every one of you. Mark Fisher, I thought donuts were their thing. Mark, I'm gonna be in Vegas in August. We'll talk about that in person. No, I'm joking. You know what? Never been a donut person. I'll eat them, but if I'm with the family or something, then that's what we decide for breakfast or something. But
you're not a real cop then, Poe, huh?
I prefer biscuits and gravy.
I'm just kidding.
Terry Ray, howdy, Terry. Big hugs to the cancer survivors and those going through it. Yes, exactly. I've rotary roaster out on our porch. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I've got a bit of merchandise that's going to be a big announcement that's going to be coming up pretty soon here. We're on the final, doing the final contracts for everything, but I have a big announcement coming on some merchandise I have coming out. Hopefully it's going to blow you guys' minds. Billy Red Lions. That was his ring name. Let's see, Mark Fisher. I love Japan and Thailand. Me too. I love all of Asia. Not a big fan of China, just for the way that they treat everybody. Taiwan is awesome. Dana from Idea Studio and I were talking. We would love to go to Mongolia and see the Who live there. That's a Mongolian. They call them a metal band, even though I don't think they're metal, but they're just an awesome band, a traditional Mongolian band, and we'd love to go see them live in Mongolia. Linda Ford, welcome. Married a Thai man, pimp suit. My married name. Yeah, the names are interesting. Dana, do you want to share Jib's legal name there? It's pretty interesting. Love Sherlock. Yep, they are. For him to come back, he was an old decrepit nutty. Yeah, I mean, well, it seemed like he was going Howard Hughes on his whole fear of bugs and all that and bacteria. Let's see here. Yeah, they are just awesome. It's in their genre. Jib would kill me if I did. Yeah. His wife Jib is hilarious. Love them both. And she's really good for taking a joke. Um, my husband was shocked the first time he ordered biscuits and gravy. He thought it was cookies and cheese. Hey, I'm an old hillbilly. That's my thing. As a matter of fact, when we had our restaurant, that was what I was known for, was my biscuits and gravy.
Mm-hmm.
But my old tights teacher's name was Super Porn. Oh,
Wow.
I love that. That's a great one. Yeah, I was talking to, now you got to remember my mom's 76 years old and she has friends that are older than she is. And we were talking about about Dana and his wife. And I was like, oh, and her name is, and my mom's friend is like, is he hanging out with porn stars? And I almost died. Yeah. They, thing is that it was uh, you know, every country has different ways, every language. So, names are going to be different. Darlene, Chad, has Scientology tried to bother you or contact you now that you have a channel?
Not yet. Bring it.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm not as scared. Yeah, I mean,
Especially now that we got two Chads to defend
yeah. And you got Chaz, he throws down like
Yep.
OG. So, all right, folks, we are at 2 hours, 16 minutes. And the thing is, I try to break it out before 2 hours, but I never make it. I want to thank you to everyone who's been here and joined me on this. This has been just a great evening. I am loving the conversations and things that are going on. Tuesday, I'll be back with another AP Laser crafting live tutorial. I'll be back Thursday for another one. And we're working on our guests for Sunday night. Maybe it'll be Four Horsemen. But I thank each and every one of you for joining me. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this. And you know how it goes, folks. We get one shot at this life. It's a short time that we're here. So please make it count.